What a Wild Spirit Brings by Lil, Chapter 49. So then, I've been telling you things about me. What about you? Your family, your hometown? Gimp grinned and said, even if it is far from exciting as your life story? Lil laughed and replied, because I'm glad it's far from like my life story. The Red chuckled and said, I was born in Vale and raised in Fist. My parents were nobles there, and I wanted for nothing growing up except company. All the nice dresses and all the finery in the world were not enough to make up for the fact that I was an only child, and kept on a pedestal, far from other lower-class children. When I was a young woman, the court consul, a Haldani by the name of Katat, noticed me playing with a kitten and a ball of yarn. I hadn't even realized that I was using air to move the ball back to me out of the kitten's grasp until she was talking about the college. Honestly, I was excited to be off to the college. I thought there I would find friends and adventure. It was obvious fairly early that I was a quick learner, and I, much like you while you were there, strove to learn every weapon as quickly as I could. It was only natural for me to become a red, but my studies and constant drive to excel were only to distract myself from my loneliness. I was surrounded by other women, but none of them knew me, and I knew none of them. Not really. My parents were proud, my sect was proud. I was a model Haldani until I met you. The first time I ever broke protocol was to see you without having reserved an audience scheduled by proper method, you know. Oh, well, sorry. I guess I didn't mean to be such a corrupting influence. Gimp smiled openly. Don't apologize. Your spirit it isn't contagious, and I'm glad to have met you, Lil. Lil returned the smile and said, as I am to have met you, Gimp. The friends reached the other side of the river and continued their trip, less troubled by their surroundings and the swarming insects, the heat, the stench. They had each other's laughter to alleviate everything else. They kept chatting about flowers and places they'd rather be, like bright lakes for swimming or fields of blackberries, drawing animals. Gimp mentioned at the ocean, and Lil felt her stomach churn for a second, remembering the ship. Gimp laughed at her face. Lil chimed in too. And so the trip seemed almost pleasant, each day being filled with playful banter and stories shared. Each night Lil found herself wordlessly ending up in Trixian's arms. She didn't know what to say to the woman who made her body ache for more. She couldn't stop talking to the woman walking beside her, ever north each day. Even after a week of travel, the Haldani and the Wild One found themselves having not run out of things to say and laugh over, nor had she tired of secret intercourse with Trixian and the Wilder. They were carrying on like this, walking in the sludge of the Ongar, when they both suddenly stopped at the same time, both hearing a shriek off ahead of them somewhere. Looking ahead, Lil could see fire. Lil and the Haldani rushed forward as best as they could be managed, through the mire toward the enormous flames and the screaming. Soon they could see a large lizard swooping down from the air, spouting hot tendrils of fire from its snout at the woman it was chasing. Gimp Haldani stopped, focus in her eyes, and abruptly the dragon slammed into an invisible wall of air, tumbling to the ground with wings flailing. Lil dropped to the earth, knowing Gimp would protect her, and formed a huge metal cage over the spot the dragon had fell. When she was waking, she found Gimp pulling her body, arm around her, dragging her along, while making the water all around them crush the fires, causing great clouds of steam. Lil found her footing, and the Haldani gave her a quick glance to make sure she was all right before letting her go. Lil was about to go after whatever woman had been shrieking when she realized there were 3 huge forms coming out of the gray mist now surrounding the caged beast, which was raging and bursting forth flame shots even now. Gimp and Lil both tried to stand tall before the giants, but Lil knew she was cowering. Their feet were bigger than she was. She wasn't even as tall as to reach their kneecaps. The trio of titans towered into the sky. No wonder they could live here in the swamp with ease. What amount of goop could hold these behemoths from doing and going where they pleased? The on-guard grimaced at the dragon in the cage, their long brown beards dangling down to their waists, their ears filled with huge hoop earrings, and their teeth misshaping their mouths, protruding asunder. They wore woven garments, and bore no shoes or sandals. One carried a huge wooden club, and the other 2 brandished tridents. Gimp Haldani looked about to greet them, when Blaxian came running up to the giants, shouting about shade and water. So it was she who the dragon had been after. Lil ran up to make sure Blaxian was not harmed. "Hail, Emtha!" one of the Ongar boomed to the Blaxian. "Why are you not the Wild One? Blaxian? I am, called out the ambassador, and thank you for saving me from this creature. One of the Ongar with the trident shook his mighty head. No, wild one, we did not save you. Blackskin, are you all right? I heard your screams. We came as fast as we could to help you, Lil cried, coming up to them, panting and searching Trixie and sister for any charred or burn spots. You! Blackskin spat as if a curse. Before you get furious again, remember that you are the one who left us, and Lil's the one who just saved you, Gimp stated firmly at the end, coming up from behind Lil placidly. Blackskin didn't say anything, but she still grunted and folded her arms. You made the cage, little Entha? How? Asked the Ongar with a great wooden mace. Oh, well, I can make things. I am not dressed like one, but I'm a wild one too. I make things in the wilder. Blackskin's frown deepened. A master wild one at such a young age? The tallest Ongar asked Blackskin. She can't even do hand-folding yet. She's no master. She's just lucky, Blackskin snapped. Lil saddened. She's right. I stumbled on the skull. I am no master. Well, it would require some natural affinity to even stumble upon such a skill, commented the Ongar, who had first recognized Blackskin. And what is a Haldani doing this deep inside the Ongar? Asked the tallest Ongar again. Gimp swelled up her chest and modeled her Haldani calm, graciously bowing as she did. Mighty Ongar, I am Gif Haldani of the Red Sect. I have come to request your guidance into the Wailing Tongues. Innocent citizens are being harmed by monsters of the mountains, much in the same manner as Blackskin today. The power has sent me to investigate the matter. Hail, Gimp of the Red, I am Ondel, and these two are Ferg and Bjorn, said the giant, holding the club, and we are glad to end the turmoil of the creatures of the tongues. They have concerned us as well with their abnormal abandon of their usual territories. We three were actually on our way to investigate the matter ourselves for the Ongar. Then we should all join together, Lil suggested. The City of Rivers Council would find that logical, I am sure, Ondel said. The City of Rivers, Lil asked. It is home to the Ongar, Ferg said, as if that should be obvious. I was headed there to wait for you two. I knew you would make it just fine. I didn't abandon duty. I just didn't feel like holding the trainer's hand the whole way, Blackskin snapped. Because whatever my grandmother says, you are just a trainer, little brave one. Lil sadly started to nod agreement, but Gimp stopped her. She has a gift. It is not the gift, but it is a gift all the same, and a valuable one. Instead of hindering her ascent to mastery, you should be uplifting her. If the Seed of Tri sees her worth, why can't you accept it? You Entha always talk about honor whenever a Greenlander says anything. Where is the honor in your actions, Blackskin? Blackskin's face was red with rage, and Lil wanted to defend her, but also couldn't help but want to defend Gimp. They were both right, weren't they? I know little of what you humans speak, Bjorn said, but it sounds as if you are fighting amongst yourselves again. Humans are always fighting with each other. It is what we keep to ourselves. Lil wanted to cry. It was true. The other women looked ashamed and said nothing, even Blackskin's reddened cheeks being due to embarrassment now rather than fury. Shall we head north to figure out the source of these disturbances that cause natural wildlife of the mountains to flee their homes? Ondel asked. Yes, let us be off, Gimp replied. But what about the dragon? Lil said. It is unfortunate, but we cannot let him out, agitated as he is, Bjorn said. The green-scaled beast was still scratching the ground and roaring. Lil felt bad about it, but the Ongar was right. She turned to see where they were going to do next, and found Ferg reaching down to pick her up. She almost squealed when he swooped a great fist around her and snatched her into the air, lifting her up to his shoulder. She saw the giant that Gimp and Blackskin were seated in like positions, holding to the huge golden hoops to steady their spots on the giants. She followed suit, and the hulks began walking north. It was such a strange, lurching walk, but somehow very rapidly began to remind her of the ship, so long ago, with Grilla Haldani and Demeen. She didn't want to sick up on an Ongar the first time meeting them. What a horrible first impression that would be. So, to get away without going away, she tied herself to the earring and traveled to the Wilder.